In 2026, the mid-range market for graphics cards is a bit interesting. You've got the likes of the RX 9070, which offer pretty good performance to price, and then they also have 16GB of VRAM. You can step up to the RX 9070 XT, or go for the RTX 5070, arguably the worst of choices unless you need an NVIDIA card. Right, so let's hop straight into the benchmarks. Here we've got Jedi Survivor running at 1440p, epic settings with ray tracing on an average frame per second reading of 73 FPS and 1% lows of 1 frames per second. Now, those 1% lows aren't really realistic. The game had like a massive stutter coming out of Lightspeed when we were like changing planet. So take that number with a grain of salt. Anyway, I know looking at an RX 9070 isn't exactly akin to the cheap computer channel vibe, but today I just thought we'd lay down a benchmark for everything else we're going to be testing on the channel. Like, you know, these expensive, relatively expensive mid-range cards, can like budget used cards compete with them? I mean, the used market, you can get some pretty good stuff on there, so I think it's an interesting point to see. So yeah, I hope this video doesn't like tickle too many nerves with looking at something a bit more upmarket, but yeah. Overall, Jedi Survivor running pretty well considering ray tracing's on here. Up next then, we've got Fortnite at 1440p running the competitive settings, so again, everything on lower than the view distance, which was on Epic, and then we've got TSR Epic running at the quality setting. We saw an average frame rate of 247 FPS here and 1% lows of 102. Now this is a very, very, very playable experience. Of course it is. It's a pretty decent graphics card to be running Fortnite on low, so you're going to have no complaints here. You could probably turn TSR off, to be honest, and it wouldn't have too much of an effect on that frame rate. So yeah, overall, very good experience, very playable, and as per with these clips, you'll see me dying a lot. Now we move on to Cyberpunk, a new game for our test suite here. We've got Cyberpunk 2077 running at 1440p with FSR quality, the Ultra RT preset, and we saw an average of 78 frames per second with 1% lows of 53 FPS. Now, in the past, AMD cards obviously haven't had too good performance with ray tracing, but I think here, 1440p, Ultra ray tracing, we've saw a pretty good, pretty solid frame rate here. It's really stable, no stutters, really nice experience, and of course the game looked very, very pretty. So yeah, a very nice outing for the 9070, yeah, I mean, good show. Now we've got Spider-Man 2, again, 1440p, FSR quality, very high preset with high ray tracing enabled. We saw an average frame rate of 99 FPS with 1% lows of 58. Again, very smooth experience here, swinging around New York, got in a couple of little fights, and it was a really stable frame rate. Yeah, overall, solid again. Now, today's video is going to be a bit shorter, as again, I know it's not really the content that this channel, or I want to see on this channel. But yeah, Spider-Man here though, very impressive. I think coming from the RTX 3050 a couple of days ago to this has seen quite a big improvement, to be honest, and you'll see that at the end with some of the benchmarks. So yeah, next up we've got Last of Us, I believe. Now here in Last of Us Part 1, we saw a really respectable frame rate. So we were running at 1440p, FSR quality, and then the Ultra preset. We saw an average frame rate of 137 FPS with 1% lows of 101. Now, in this game, and the others, you've noticed I've been using the FSR, and obviously, where FSR 4 is available, you basically, at this point, or at least for me, cannot at all tell the difference between native and FSR. You might get a couple of jagged edges, just occasionally, especially on hair, but that's about it. So I think turning it on and getting what is quite a significant boost to the frame rate, especially if you've got a higher refresh rate monitor or you're already running at high resolution, I think it makes sense. So yeah, I mean, drop a comment down below if you don't like this whole FSR thing, and I can go back and retest this without using FSR, but yeah. Last of Us here running really, really well. Another new one up for the benchmark suite today, we've got Hogwarts Legacy running at 1440p, again utilising that FSR quality at the Ultra preset. Now here we saw an average frame rate of 117 FPS while we were flying around the Hogwarts Valley area and going into the Forbidden Forest, and 1% lows of 81 frames per second. It was a really solid show, again, from the RX 9070 here. Can't complain. Very playable and really quite stable. And again, another really good looking, very pretty game. So yeah, again, solid performance. I mean, it's been pretty much solid across the board, really. So for the final game today, we've got Shadow of the Tomb Raider running at 1440p, highest preset, and RT Ultra was on. We saw an average frame rate of 142 frames per second in this older title. And you know what? I think it's nice to go back and check to make sure these games can still run on newer hardware well, and I mean, obviously here it can. Solid performance, very, very smooth, and again, given the game's getting on now, I mean, it looks very, very pretty. So yeah, the benchmark ran well. Probably, I mean, you can expect similar performance in the game too when you're playing. And yeah, that brings our game suite here to an end. Let me know again if you want me to add anything else to maybe broaden the number of games we're testing, get a better picture. But yeah, I hope these 7 games have been useful here today. Up next, we've got the little synthetic rounder benchmark. So Time Spy, Fire Strike. And then at the end of this, you'll see a Cinebench run just so we can benchmark our CPU in the test rig. Fire Strike and Time Spy ran really well here. Obviously, significantly better than the RTX 3050 we had a look at the other day, but that is expected. So we got 53,347 in Fire Strike and 26,258 in Time Spy. Significantly higher than what the RTX 3050 did, and massively higher than the GTX 560 Ti. I mean, it should be. So, just to round out the video here, I think in 2026, you've really got 3 options at this price. The RTX 5070, which is limited by its 12GB of VRAM and performs across a broad range of titles worse than the RX 9070. Obviously, you've got the RX 9070, a very good option. 16GB of VRAM, it's going to be good for the long term. A sound choice. And then if you want to, you can step up to the RX 9070 XT. You see about, 10%, I think, on average, better performance. So if that's worth it to you, depending on what market you're in, go for it. And then, obviously, you've got the other NVIDIA cards, the 5070 Ti. They do offer better performance, but can you really justify the quite significant step up in price? I don't know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Drop a subscribe. Drop a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you want me to check out any other hardware, add some games to the roster that I haven't added today, and yeah, have a good rest of your day.